Hello, Facebook fans and YouTube fans of DX Engineering. It's Thursday afternoon here in the Eastern time zone of the USA. It's time for the Manufacturer Showcase. And the Manufacturer Showcase is a show where over 160 different manufacturers that we represent can come on the show and explain their products, take questions from the chat room, and just provide more information about their products. And today, we're very lucky to be here in the DX Engineering Showroom, which is inside the Summit Racing Superstore here in Talmadge, Ohio, exit 29 off I-76. And our special guest is Todd from ROHN Towers.
Hi, Tim. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you, Todd. And we've got a piece of ROHN 45 here in the house.
Awesome.
And it's nice, shiny galvanized steel. What just a great piece. This is a work of art, you know, especially with the DX Engineering rotator on top. But ROHN 45 is probably one of the most popular amateur radio towers.
It's very popular. 25Gs, 45Gs are hot selling items. We've been manufacturing them for over 70 years.
70 years. And so ROHN 45 can hold up a lot of amateur radio antenna.
Yes, it can.
You know, when it's guyed properly and installed, and all that information is on your website, right?
That is correct.
So even if somebody is new to the hobby, they can, of course, talk to us here at DX Engineering, and we can figure out, well, should it be ROHN 25? Should it be ROHN 45? Or maybe even ROHN 55?
Yes, and that's a great question. As the years have gone by, the tower industry, like everything else, has become more and more complicated. There's a lot of engineering involved. There's a lot of weather conditions that make that to where things have to be looked at in great detail. So what we recommend doing for the customers out there is when they're looking at purchasing a tower, come to DX Engineering, fill out a form. It'll be sent into ROHN. We'll get all the information from the customer, and then we will help the customer specify a tower that will fit their needs the best.
Great. And so the things that are important when it comes to selecting the right tower is how much antenna wind load,
yes,
and actually where the tower is located, right?
Location's a big deal. The location tells us the correct wind load, correct ice loading, the correct engineering standard. Some states are still ANSI TIA 222 revision G, which is the guideline for tower designs. Other states have adopted the new standard, which is revision H. So it's a little bit confusing. That's why we ask you to send the information to us so we can make sure the tower is designed appropriately and to what the customer actually really needs.
We're here today with Todd from ROHN Tower. And if you have a question, make sure you put it in the chat, and we will make sure that Todd does his best to answer the questions. And of course, you know, just being close to a tower, this is a thing of beauty. And before I went to Pyrod, I had ROHN Towers at K3LR, but and I know you're familiar with Pyrod.
Absolutely.
Strong towers as well, but there are more ROHN towers for amateur radio than any other tower manufacturers represented out there.
That's correct. Again, we've been doing it for 70 years. That is the distribution line with the G series towers is a major business unit for us, and we are very proud of it.
And you know, if I had a ROHN 45 tower that I bought 20 years ago and I wanted to add to it, you know, can I buy the same ROHN pieces today, and will they all fit together?
They certainly will. Again, though, with anything else, adding to a tower, we ask that you give us the information so we can make sure the existing tower is sized appropriately to make sure the extensions you're putting on the tower will work for the customer in the future.
Right. Now that is great customer support. And I see Ray Higgins is in the chat room, and Ray is he says great product distributed by DX Engineering, and Ray he actually has a business called Remote Ham Radio.
Okay.
And what these guys are doing is they're building amateur radio stations in various places in the U.S., and then it's sort of like a timeshare where guys can log on via the internet through the remote ham radio software. And so you could be in a condo in Arizona and use a station in Maine.
Wow.
And
so the huge companies right now do that on the telecom side for customers like Verizon and AT&T. Wasn't aware of that on the ham radio side, but it sounds like Ray has a unique niche and smart man.
Yes, Ray and Lee and Rock, who make up the whole remote ham radio team, are just tremendous guys and very forward thinking. And we're very proud that they are a DX Engineering customer. And they buy a lot of ROHN Towers.
Good to know. Thank you, Ray.
So yeah, they're great guys. And of course, a lot of our customers. Let's see, we've got Larry is on and says hello from the Gulf Coast. ROHN Towers are the only towers with us. So
thank you, Larry.
That's another great comment. You know, and let's talk a little bit about the tower hardware, Todd. You know, some guys will take and replace the bolts after a while. And do they have to be specific bolts that are used to put the sections together?
Yes, we recommend that you use ROHN factory hardware. It's been designed. Hardware is just as important as the tower sections. It's been designed appropriately. We ask that you come to ROHN, come to DX Engineering.
Yeah, we have them
for that product. They have them in stock.
Right.
And that way you will have no surprises in the future.
So you don't want to just go down to the local hardware store and any old hardware.
Correct. I would not recommend going to Home Depot to retrofit your tower.
Right.
It's probably not a good idea.
So the ROHN engineers have specifically designed every part of this.
Correct.
Down to the bolts that are used.
Down to the nuts and bolts.
Right. And they're there for a reason. And it's good engineering practice. And also, you know, in the case of a building permit, it could actually void a building permit if you don't put it in according to the ROHN specification.
It sure could. And the building officials, some of them are very good to work with. They're all good to work with, but some of them can be very picky at times.
Yes.
And if you don't have every I dotted and every T crossed for the stamped drawings for the building permit official, it could lead to headaches in the future. That's why we recommend you talk to DX Engineering, have DX Engineering send us all the pertinent information up front so we can have your tower properly sized and get you exactly what you need.
And, you know, in the case of questions about various soils and concrete and everything, I mean, you guys are all set up for that as well.
Right. You can do a geotechnical report. We can do a custom design foundation, or if you decide not to, we can assume normal soil parameters and have a foundation design for you that will work. With the normal soil parameters, we look at two types, clay and sand.
And what about tower erectors? What about companies that actually, I mean, like Ray Higgins and the rest of the RHR team, they have their own tower company there. But what about somebody who comes to you, maybe they live in Kansas?
Right.
Do you have certified ROHN erectors?
We do not. We will offer that service to you where we would subcontract that out. However, we will be more than happy to recommend a local erector if you want to work with them directly, and that works great as well.
All right. So, I mean, you know, the demographic of a lot of amateur radio operators are such that they're beyond the age of doing this, you know, as a weekend.
We are too.
Right. And we want to make sure that safety first. And I know there's a lot of safety stickers on ROHN towers and gin poles and the accessories, but it's really all about safety and making sure you don't overcommit yourself.
It is about safety. You know, there's a lot of ways to do it wrong and one way to do it right.
Yeah. So
it's having a tower erector that is, you know, there's actually a lot of the erectors are certified NATE, National Association of Tower Erectors. They're always good to work with. They know what they're doing. And there's others too that know exactly the ins and outs of the tower erection. Highly recommend you work with an experienced erector.
Right. It's just really important because you don't get a second chance at this. Katie, do we have any other questions there? I see NA5 Charlie is there. And please comment on how unsafe it is to install old used tower that you don't always know the history on.
Right.
You know, Todd, I mean, how dangerous can that be?
We don't recommend it. And a lot of people come to us, and honestly, we can't provide recommendations. It's a legal world. And it may be perfectly fine if you have a newly used tower, but you should always inspect it yourself and look at it. Towers do have a age or a lifespan, especially the smaller ones right there, thinner tube, but
yeah, I mean, you just don't know what's going on inside the pipe.
We really don't. You have to be there on site to inspect it. We can't help you 500 miles away in an office.
Right. No, and so yeah, Steve, you bring up a very good point that used tower can be a mixed bag, and it's best to have a professional take a look at that used tower to make sure that there's nothing wrong with it before you start stacking.
Inspect the tower itself. Look for rust. Look for corrosion. Look for broken welds. The tower itself tells a story, but it requires a thorough inspection on site.
And our friend Greg, November Charlie 7 Bravo, sure wish I had a lot where I could install a tower. He's in an HOA.
Yeah.
And but he's been very resourceful with vertical antennas. And in fact, Greg has written articles for onallbands.com. If you haven't gone to the DX Engineering blog, there are great articles there. And Greg is one of our bloggers. Onallbands.com, great DX Engineering blog. And don't forget that this Saturday morning, from 9 a.m. till noon, in store only, is the DX Engineering Sale Day. And I took a peek at some of the sale prices, and it's just incredible, the markdowns on the open box. And some of these are returns as well. So if you're within driving distance of DX Engineering, you want to come here. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. till noon, is the DX Engineering Sale Day. And there's a nice post on onallbands.com about that.
And I just want to say, if you haven't been to the facility here, I'm blown away by it. The entire operation, the sales force, the staff, what a great group. I just can't say enough. First-class organization.
Well, thank you very much, Todd. It's been a real pleasure to have you here today. And Todd got to meet with the sales staff, and we threw questions at him, and he's been doing great. I see another tower erector on here. Hector is on. See what Hector has to say. Need to test to bleed better than Rhone 2800. Have the same issues. New design holding the mass clamp. Yeah, the mass clamp is the K7NV design, and we've had tremendous success with that. I've been using the K7NV clamp for over 20 years, and has yet to fail on some really big antennas. Dino was on Kilo Lima 0 Sierra, and he's getting ready to do a ROHN tower. So he'll be looking for advice. And of course, Chuck is on K3CWE, and great information from ROHN Tower. Well, Todd, thanks so much for coming in today and doing a live show with us. We're here at the DX Engineering Showroom, which it's great to be back here after the whole 3 years worth of COVID. We're back going again, and we'll do more live shows from here. And again, don't forget the DX Engineering Sale Day this Saturday, October 1st, from 9 a.m. till noon. Todd, we wish you continued success at ROHN Towers.
Tim, it's been a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Todd. And hope you all enjoyed it today. And we'll see you tomorrow for the weekend special. Until then, 73 from the home of DX Engineering, dxengineering.com.